So I'm here at Triathlon Lab with Will Mayberry, bike fitter extraordinaire, and he's going to show some tips on adjusting the bike.
So before every ride, especially if you're taking your front wheel off and on to get it in and out of the car, every once in a while your front brake can get bumped, or rear brake. It works in both cases. So what you're going to do is, if you ever pick up your bike by the stem and just spin the wheel and the brake is rubbing right here, with either side, just stand over the bike and with both hands, just adjust the brake by hand like this so it centers out in the wheel. I always squeeze the brake a few more times and make sure it spins and stays in between the two brake pads. If your brake if you squeeze it and it ever gets stuck in like this, or it doesn't seem to return to its full, spread apart position, you're going to want to put some lubrication. I like to use this Tri-Flow here. It's a penetrating lubricant, it's Teflon based, and you can just dab it in there like this on all the pivot points. Clean it first, of course.
What's a good way to clean it?
Cleaning it?
Yeah.
You can just use a light degreaser. I like to use a citrus-based degreaser. Just something natural, and it's not caustic or is going to corrode any of the metal parts together there. So you just work it in there. Always clean up the excess on the outside, because you don't want lubrication rubbing all around and collecting all extra grime and dirt on there. And just work it in. You give it another spin, centered up, just like that, and your brakes are centered out.
Great. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Place.
Can you turn that out?
Yeah, this barrel adjust right here. If your brakes are centered out, if you turn this barrel adjust out, that'll bring your brakes closer in. It pulls the cable tighter.
I got it.
Right here.
Yeah.
And you can do it, just squeeze until you feel like it's the right pressure. And a good distance away, but not too far.
Yeah, I take the wheel off. I transport it in my car.
Yeah, especially if you're moving it around like that too.
Yeah. Great.
That will happen a lot.
That's a good tip.
Anything worse, bring it into the shop.
Right.
If it's acting crazy.
Gotcha. So we'll just measure the chain on my bike, and it's starting to stretch out from all the riding I've been doing, so it's time to replace it. I think that's a better idea than having it snap or start to damage the rear derailleurs. Did I say that right? Anyways.
Super comfortable right up here.
Okay,
this is where all your controls are.
Right.
You should only really be riding up here as just a different hand position, or when you're climbing or something like that.
Right.
Even down here, you should only be down here really when you're descending really fast, taking a corner at speed, where you have to get some real technical maneuvering, where you need to lower your center of gravity. But if you want to fight the air on a road bike, your best bet is to grab these brake hoods like this, kind of drop your elbow, lower your wrist onto the bar, and just keep your torso down.
Keep it all tight, right?
Yeah, if you grab down here, I just open myself up to the wind even more.
Right. Oh, great. So, we've been talking, and looks like I can get a different gear set for my rear wheel that will improve or make it a little bit easier for hill climbing. So looks like I might end up getting that. And, right now they're doing some custom adjustments on the seat post to make it more comfortable for me to lean a little more forward, a little more of a triathlon position. So that's what's happening.
Actually use it anywhere on the bike, but we like to use the Tri-Flow because it has a little bit more penetrating power than the T9.
I see.
The T9 is a paraffin wax based in a solvent solution here.
Right.
So every 200, 300, or anytime it rains, you're going to want to open the T9, and yours just got a new chain, so I'm not going to use it on there. But on the bottom here, you don't have to have a stand. You can just lean it up against the wall or put it on your trainer is what I do at home. And just give it some squirt here and run it backwards, okay?
Okay.
So a nice little a light stream on the chain, run it backwards. All right? Do that for about 30 seconds. Make sure you get the whole chain. And then you can take a rag, just like this, and hold the chain, and you want to clean up all of the excess outside the chain.
Got
You
it.
want oil inside the little rollers here,
Right.
and in between the metal pieces, but not on the outside. If it's on the outside, it's just going to, like I said earlier, collect more grime and more gunk. After that's done, you can leave it. And then we use the tri-flow for all the little pivot points in here. So if you don't know what the pivot points are, depending on what gear you're in, you can hold it like this, and any point that's a pivot point is going to get a touch of lube. So if you're holding this, you see the lube flowing down the tube. I'm not squeezing at all.
Right.
And a little drop forms.
Got it.
You can just take that little drop and just touch, all the little pivot points. Same on the back here. Any point that moves, any point that pivots and moves will get lubrication. Okay? And I'm squeezing this bottle a little bit just because it's almost empty.
Right.
But with a full bottle, you really don't even have to. You don't have to squeeze it all. And then you don't need to put lubrication on the actual sprockets themselves.
Oh, okay.
And like I was saying earlier with the brakes, we'll do those too. And I've got little dabs of lube all over the pivot points, okay? Next you want to work it in.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
I like to work it all up in there. Same with the gears. Now that it's on the derailleur back there, run it through all of its gears.
Yeah.
And then, again, just clean up all the excess with the rag. You can use a rag with a light, like detergent on it or something to kind of get the excess.
You mentioned a citrus-based solvent.
What's that?
You mentioned a citrus-based solvent.
Yes. So we have a bike wash over here, which is really good stuff. So we sell this bike wash here. All you have to do is spray this onto a rag, and you can just wipe the whole bike down.
Oh, okay.
For anything really greasy or grimy, you can use a citrus, like a Zepp orange, or I forget the other brand names, but they're just basically an extract of citrus fruits.
Right.
And you can just put that on a scrub brush and get all up in here.
Get the grime out.
Yeah, where all this grime is. Another spot that collects a lot of grime, if you bring that down here.
Yeah.
And yours is actually pretty clean right now, but this spot right here on this roller will get a lot, and it can get caked up in there pretty good.
Okay.
Yours is really good actually.
Okay.
So you can do that too by just getting your rag right there and kind of holding it, and you can knock it all off.
Yeah.
Like that. But that's pretty much the maintenance schedule. After you lube it, it's best to let it sit overnight to dry. 12 hours, 24 preferably.
Okay.
Just you get that solvent, let that solvent evaporate, and it won't be out there collecting a lot of other dirt and grime.
All right, thanks, Will. So I just finished at Triathlon Lab getting my second fitting for this bike. You get one when you initially buy a bike, and then another one after you've had it for a little while to make sure it's working out good for you. William did my fitting, and immediately little tweaks made a huge difference. Because I had gotten a new saddle for the bike, and he got the angle of that correct and moved my position a little more forward, more like a triathlon bike position where you lean forward on your elbows using the aero bars. So when I eventually get a bike that's more aerodynamic and has the aero bars, I'll be ready for it. Plus, when I lose a little more weight, but I wore out my chain, which was kind of surprising and or impressive to the guys. I'm not sure which, considering I've only had the bike since about October of 2012. So I had to get a new one, and I bought a new cassette, which is a collection of gears. Reason being, I wanted something that would help me with climbing, a little bit better for climbing, because the largest of the cogs on my rear gears was still kind of small when it comes to going up hills, which was making me work harder, which was keeping me out of taking me out of Z2 too fast. So this should help. And everything went great as usual. William adjusted the cleats on my shoes, my cycling shoes, and really just sat there and tweaked it, the overall fit, until it was perfect. And I also got to meet the owner of Triathlon Labs, Lloyd Taylor, and talk to him for a bit. Excited about what we discussed. Can't say what yet. And it was a good day overall. So thanks, Triathlon Labs. Thanks for taking care of me as usual.